I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. I want to apologize for the delay in getting here. All roads leading to Peekskill were a little busy on the way up county, but I'm happy to be here with Ken Jenkins, who is our Deputy County Executive, Larry Sewell, who's our Budget Director, and we expect to be joined by Joan McDonald, excuse me, our Director of Operations fairly shortly. We also have some other members of our team here, Andrew Ferris, our Chief of Staff, some others I'll introduce in a second. As we begin the session tonight, I'd ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing just for a moment of silence as we think of our young men and women deployed around the world on our defense. You may be seated. Well, we appreciate those of you who have come out this evening to share your thoughts or to watch other people share their thoughts. This is, excuse me, this is a relatively new initiative that we've made in our brief period of time in the county administration. We're joined now by Joan McDonald, our Director of Operations. The Westchester County government has a fiscal year calendar year, meaning that from January 1st to December 31st, we have an operating budget. Most towns and most towns and cities are on calendar year fiscal years, and so we are now in late October in the process of trying to finalize the county budget. We're scheduled to submit it to the Westchester County Board of Legislators, legislative body, on Friday, November 8th. And then when they have the budget, they then deliberate on it for the next month, and they will have some formal public hearings once they have a document that's got specific allocations of money and responsibilities and so forth. What we're doing tonight, which we did a week ago in Yonkers at Sarah Lawrence College, what we did last year for the first time, is to have a session like this where your opinion is welcome to be projected to us on whatever topic you think appropriate before we finalize the budget. So you don't have a budget in front of you. We don't have a copy to give you that would tell you what we plan to do because we want to hear what people have to say tonight. You'll be given 3 minutes to speak, well, a little bit longer than 3 minutes to wrap up your thought, but Copper Crane has the yellow caution flag and the red stop flag, paid attention by nobody so far, including candidates when we run for office. But the bottom line is we want to try to keep you to that number because we want everybody to have a chance to speak. We will be here until the last person who wishes to speak speaks. And we hope that'll be around 9 o'clock. That's what we've told our spouses. But whenever we get home, we get home. More importantly, though, whatever you have to say is not the totality of the input that you can give us. You are welcome to send us written testimony, email testimony if you'd like. If you have any written testimony with you here, we'll be happy to accept it, and it will be part of our discussion as we go forward. The input that you give us is open-ended, so you can talk about any area of county government operations as you see fit. We understand sometimes people are upset about something, they think something should be done, it's not being done, so certainly don't mind if you show that you're not happy about something. I would ask you to maintain normal bonds of civility. Now, this is not a question and answer session, so you might be frustrated if you have a point that you want to make and then you want us to respond. That kind of a forum is a different forum, and we will use that. But we could get tied up in Q&A and not listen to everybody's point of view. So we're certainly not going to duck questions. I conduct coffee and conversations with local county legislators on a regular basis, and we'll be happy to try to have that dialogue as best as we can. We also know that when the public hearings are held by the Board of Legislators, they have one of their sessions coming up will be at Cortland Town Center once the budget is out. So you'll have, if those of you are generally speaking in northern Westchester or northwestern Westchester, that you'll have an opportunity in your backyard to speak to the board to comment further on the actual concrete budget before it all goes into effect. We have, let's see what we have. These are the dates of the events? No, this is, okay. We also are interested in the point of view of those who are not here tonight. So if you have friends, people that you're involved with who couldn't make it tonight, tell them that they too are more than invited to share information with us. Catherine, what email are we using for input on this? Communications at westchestergov.com. So can make a note of it, the word communications, that's a department that Catherine Chaffee, our Director of Communication, has communications at Westchester Gov, one word, Gov is G-O-V, westchestergov.com. That's our website, ISP as well. So communications, westchestergov.com. We are happy to receive any input that someone has who is not here tonight, so that's part of the equation. I understand that Westchester County Legislator Catherine Borgia is with us tonight. Catherine, please stand up and say hello. Catherine is the chair of our Budget and Appropriations Committee. That is the busiest of all the committees of the board. Both Ken and I, at prior times in our lives, have chaired the County Board of Legislators, and you generally ask one of your more senior members and insightful members to chair that committee because there's a lot of work involved in it, and this is when the work gets particularly increased. So we thank Catherine for being here tonight to hear some of the input, and again, when the board gets the budget, they will have a series of hearings on the budget from the public, and they will also question our commissioners and our senior management on aspects of the budget so that we can go through it. I'm going to call the name of the speaker that's scheduled to speak, and then the next two individuals to follow them. Obviously, if for some reason somebody has to leave, we apologize, but we will operate as best as we can on a first-come, first-speak basis. If you do have some unique problem, you may want to go home and watch the baseball game. We don't consider that a unique problem, but if there's a child care issue or something that's concerning, go back and talk to one of our folks in the back of the room, and we will prioritize as an exception if somebody has it. But if somebody took the effort to be here earlier and are waiting patiently, then we want to do that in order of the speakers. So I'm going to call the speakers to the podium. Let me mention also one other thing. I'm trying to think of all the rules which aren't written down. You have up to 3 minutes, as I said, slightly more based on our discretion. But you can't yield your time to somebody else. So if you have spent 2.5 minutes, you can't now say, and here's Jane Doe who's going to continue my conversation, because invariably Jane goes more than 20 seconds. So Jane will have to get a card of her own and speak on her own merits if that's the case. If you come up to the microphone and you have a couple of other people with you for moral support, that's okay, but the moral support won't speak because we want to go through one person at a time to the best of our ability. So with some humor and hopefully some insight on our part, we will get the benefit of your thoughts. Now the first speaker, or the first card, is filled out Jordana Lorenzo and Alexander Ingram. So 3 minutes, my friends. They will be followed in sequence by Terry Kirshner and Diane Rossi. And if I mispronounce your name, I apologize in advance. It may be my mispronunciation, maybe I can't read penmanship, so do forgive me and correct me when you come to the microphone so that I don't perpetuate the error. Jordana?
Yes.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, and I have 3 copies I apologize
Very good.
for of written testimony.
Do you have?
And I'll be quick, I promise, because I know those are pretty long documents.
Okay.
Good evening. Thank you, County Executive Latimer and the County Executive staff for allowing residents of Westchester to come forward and present what they would like to see prioritized in the county budget. I am here as the Program and Policy Manager of Westchester Children's Association and as a member of the Campaign for Kids Coalition that represents over 50 organizations and individuals that advocate for funding and access to high-quality youth programs. Submitted to you is a copy of the Campaign for Kids 2020 budget recommendations. I could literally be here all day expressing to you the details outlined in that document, including the importance in reducing the criminal justice footprint, increasing employment opportunities in the county, increasing affordable housing, and increasing funding for investing kids. But to keep it simple, the through line that exists within all of our recommendations is to invest in the best practices that allow our young people to thrive here in Westchester, and to allow room for innovation when it comes to programming for our youth. Let's break the status quo and invest in programs that will help our young people reach new heights. Campaign for Kids also supports the agendas of Nonprofit Westchester and the Westchester Women's Agenda. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jordana. All right, our next speaker is Terry Kirshner, and he will be followed by Diane Rossi and Juliana Urello.
Okay. So I'm here on behalf of Nonprofit Westchester as their board president, and I really do want to thank you for the commitment that you've made to the nonprofit community, Yesterday morning, you had mentioned the possibility of a chief nonprofit officer, and I really want to say that we fully endorse that, and we hope that you are able to move forward with that in the new budget. We see it as a great way to bring about better efficiencies, cost savings, stronger partnerships with other nonprofits, but really a strong, great way to make a positive impact in all the communities that we serve. And I'd also like to take a few moments just to say, as the director of the Westchester Library System, we thank you for your ongoing support, and we really look forward to working with you in the next year. And if you have any questions about the budget I did submit, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, the next speaker is Diane Rossi, and she will be followed by Juliana Urello and Linda Schneider.
Thank you very much for creating this forum to hear our concerns. I reside in White Plains, and I'm here tonight to voice my support for the Center for the Arts in Westchester. This facility plays an important role in our community and has been serving the community for 94 years, just 6 years from its centennial birthday. My fellow students and I would like to thank the county for its efforts to date in support of the CFA. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the space in question. It is absolutely unique in its design to support a broad variety of art expression. There is a jewelry making room equipped with tools to support soldering of metals. There is a ceramic room and many other areas unique in design to support specific expression of art form. Each room has sinks with running water, which is necessary for these classes to exist. It would be a travesty after almost 100 years to allow this incredible program to die because Westchester County, one of the richest counties in the country, couldn't find a way to keep it alive. Please make accommodations in the budget to accept a modest rent that would allow art-making activity to continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And by the program that Ms. Rossi speaks of has been conducted by Westchester Community College at the County Center facility. It is funded currently through May of 2020, and so I assume, Diane, the ask is to fund it for the balance of next year in the 2020 budget. Okay, very good. Thank you. Ms. Urello, followed by Linda Schneider and Madelyn Finesmith. Juliana.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Juliana Orrello, and I am an immigration paralegal at the Westchester County Office of Make the Road New York. We are extremely grateful for the county support of our work to serve low-income immigrants families with immigration legal services, employment legal services, and more. Make the Road has over 20 years of experience building dignity and justice for New York immigrants and working class families. We have 23,000 members across the state and provide legal services across Westchester County and connect community members to civic engagement opportunities so they can have a hand in improving their life and neighborhoods. The need for our services is greater than ever. Westchester Latino community has grown by 43% in the last 10 years. In White Plains, where our office is located, 25% of residents are immigrants, over half of them from Latin America. The level of xenophobia toward immigrants community from the federal government has added to these challenges. As you know, the federal government is attempting to roll back protections from immigrants, like DACA and temporary protective status. The proposed public charge policy will limit immigrants' access to life-saving public benefits. The need for immigration legal services has grown, and immigration legal cases has grown more complex. But legal and social services have not expanded sufficiently to keep pace with the county's growing immigration population and need. Even with the limited resources, we are able to do big things that impact the life of immigrants in the county. One example is the case of an 18-year-old White Plains resident we will call Rafael. He dreams to become a mechanical engineer. He's so grateful to have DACA status. He now can work and pay for his college expenses. At Make the Road New York, we deliver our services with cultural competence and deep expertise. Our team has years of experience providing immigrant legal services and employment legal services. Our Westchester office, located in White Plains, helps people from all over the county. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Linda Schneider, and she will be followed by Madelyn Finesmith and Anitra Guzman Santana.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
I'm a retired reading specialist from the Ossining School District, and I've been working with the JCY's Smart Tutoring Program since its inception 3 years ago. There are about 20 mentors, very invested in helping the students become lifelong readers. Our mentors support instruction to help children reach their goals in reading fluency and comprehension. They also provide additional time that many children need to be successful readers, either listening to a story, introducing them to a new book, helping them select a book in the library, or supporting their home reading. At the same time, it's a very rewarding experience for the mentors. They are truly contributing something special by encouraging a love of reading. It's very impressive to see how much they are invested in helping the children. And as a teacher, I know what that feels like. So it's so important to have adequate funding. And we are asking to raise the level of funding by 10% to help us cover our course for our wonderful programs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Madelyn Finesmith, and she will be followed by Anitra Guzman Santana and Carolyn Fluke.
Hi, my name is Madelyn Finesmith, and I am the volunteer recruiter and PR manager at JCY Westchester Community Partners. First, I want to thank you very much for the funding that you've given us and will continue to give us. On the heels of Linda Schneider, I would just like to reemphasize what she said about the impact of our programs, and imagine that times 27. That's the number of programs we have in Westchester County. We have over 600 mentors, and we serve thousands of children. And you know, cumulatively, what that does is it leverages the resources that you give us to greaten the impact on Westchester County, increasing the literacy level of our children and their self-confidence, their ability to participate in their classes. So again, thank you very much for your time, for your support. And I, too, am asking for a 10% increase to continue to leverage our programs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madelyn. Before the next speaker, I'd just like to introduce some other members of our team that have arrived. We've been joined by Emily Saltzman, who's our Deputy Director of Operations for the county. We have Bridget Gibbons, who is our Director of Economic Development. Joe Glazer, who is our Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Community Mental Health. And then we have some other folks on our team. Emily Lavin is here, I see, and I'm probably missing a few others in eyeshot, just so that if you need to consult with any of these folks, they're here in the room. So our next speaker is Anitra Guzman Santana, and she will be followed by Carolyn Fluke and Angela Morris.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I feel like we just had this conversation, but I'm so
Just
glad.
8 days ago, yeah.
Really?
It goes fast.
You're counting.
66 years went fast, so
I really appreciate you giving us this platform. That's the first thing I'd like to say, and the opportunity for us to speak here on behalf of our organizations and whatever issues we may have is exceptional. The support you've given JCY and Family Service Society of Yonkers in general has been great. You have been a constant supporter, so we really appreciate, I was going to say super, but we do. We really super appreciate everything that you've done for us. With that said, I'm the director of JCY programs for Family Service Society of Yonkers. We offer a range of services from home care, guardianship, kinship support to children's literacy programs for our students across the county. We've already heard from some people speak already on our behalf. The services we provide are critical. As we have served a total of just under 6,000 students in the last school year. Madelyn mentioned we have about 600 volunteers. They're mentors who service our programs. And we delivered just under 20,000 literacy sessions in the last school year as well. So imagine that impact. JCY's volunteer program is the largest intergenerational volunteer service in Westchester. And I'm speaking most specifically about JCY and literacy programs we offer. We have Carolyn who's going to speak on behalf of Kinship. The JCY literacy programs we offer are kind of dual prong in that they directly benefit the children we serve as well as the volunteers that mentor. Time and time again, you'll hear teachers note that the positive impact our programs have had on their students, but you will also hear from our volunteer mentors like Linda, especially our seniors, that their involvement with JCY has given them purpose. This is why we have volunteers who have dedicated years to our programs, some up to 20 years, which is amazing to me, mind-blowing actually. As you have heard before, we are asking for an increase in general funding of our grants by 10% for organizational improvements that will improve the internal health of our organization so that we can better serve Westchester. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anitra. Next speaker is Carolyn Flukinger, and she'll be followed by Angela Morris and Nancy Gilo or Hilo, depending on the pronunciation. Gil. Gil. Let's make that another L. Okay, thanks. Carolyn.
Well, I too want to say thank you for holding this hearing tonight and the one you had last week as well. And I do also want to say thank you for the support that you have provided to the Kinship Support Program and the Family Service Society of Yonkers. It's very critical support for these caregivers. These are people who are raising grandchildren and other relative children because the parents aren't available or able to do this. They have stepped in at a point in their lives that they expected to be retired, enjoying leisure, and instead they are raising children. And I think of myself as I'm entering my 60s as to have a young child or maybe several young children, what that must be like. And some of them are in their 70s, and we have some in their 80s that are raising grandchildren. And the fact is they do not get the kind of support that foster care parents do. These are people that are outside of the mostly outside of the foster care system, and they have custody of the children. That's pretty much who we see. But because they're outside of the system, they do not get the kind of support. And we, in our program, really exists to provide those kind of services to help. It helps them, link them up with benefits they may be entitled to and not know about, because there's over 92% that aren't receiving benefits from the county. And we advocate with them on behalf at the schools, at the Department of Social Services, and we provide support groups where they can get together and talk with each other, because that's a real issue that they don't have a lot of people to talk with. But also at these meetings, they also learn about parenting techniques as well. So your support is so important, and I would ask that you would continue the support and to remember that grandparents and kinship care save children's lives, and they save the county taxpayer dollars. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Carolyn. Our next speaker is Angela Morris. She'll be followed by Nancy Gill and Susan Abbott.
Hi, good evening. My name is Angela Morris. I'm 60 years old. I visited Yonkers all my life. I'm with the Family Services Society, and I also is a grandparent advocate, reading buddy, a volunteer of Yonkers, and I'm raising 6 grandkids and 2 great-grand. I thank you for supporting us, Family Society, because we need the help. They've been a great deal of help. When I was at a fire, I was burnt out with everything. They was there by my side to help me throughout the way. And I'm so grateful for them, and I hope that you continue helping us. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Nancy Gill. I'm 75 years old. I'm raising 2 great-grandchildren. I had them since birth. And I've been in Yonkers 23 years. And I've been in Family Service Society. I'm a grandparent advocate for that length of time since they were little. And they are a wonderful organization. My oldest grandson had mental problems. They helped me with that. They sent me to the right psychiatrist. He's 18 now. He's got a job. He's doing good. The 14-year-old one is an honors student. He went into Saunders with honors. The program at Family Service Society is a wonderful organization. They help us, the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, and they also help us. Thank you for your support. Please keep us in your budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Our next speaker is Susan Abbott, and she will be followed by Janet Malang and Virginia Falkrud.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Sue Abbott. I'm the Director of Grant Programs at Arts Westchester. I ask your indulgence if I am bending the rules. I would like to introduce Livia Strauss, co-founder of HV MoCA.
So I thank you for your time, too. I'm always humbled by these meetings because there's such need in so many different areas in Westchester County. Frankly, I don't know how you make a decision. But I'm here to speak for the arts. We opened HV MoCA 16 years ago now. And the museum has mushroomed and grown and thrived. We now service well over 2,000 children a year in our education programs. We service every single grade level in Peekskill, the Peekskill schools. There is art abundant in the school system. We've impacted on children's lives in ways that makes us truly proud. It's kind of a saying that when you save one person, you really save a whole world. And one of our earliest students, 5th grade student, who came from a struggling family in Peekskill, is now going for his PhD on a full scholarship in California Tech. So we're proud of the things that we've done, festivals that we've run in the city. Peekskill now has a sculpture park that the museum has been very instrumental in putting together. We hold wonderful exhibitions, and what they've done is they've introduced a population into Peekskill that didn't really know about it and didn't know about the region and the beauty of the region. We put different festivals into play. The Peekskill Project has done an amazing job when we've had the funds to do it. Arts Westchester has been with us from the beginning. When we were a baby and we just started, they helped us with grants. The challenge grants have been very important to us. We've built a wonderful program with also a very strong board. Now where Peekskill is, and it's not the way Peekskill was 16 years ago, it's changed enormously. We're told by friends in the city, by businessmen in the city, that the museum has had a lot to do with those changes, that it significantly changed the economic complexion of the city as well as the cultural complexion. The first person we worked with in the schools was Judith Johnson, who I just heard passed away, so a moment to speak about her. But the more we can be supported with grants, we can't do it alone. We need support from the government. The more support we get from the government, the more support we get privately. So thank you for listening. And
thank you very much,
come visit
Olivia.
us.
Thank you. I have been there, and it's good, very good museum. Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Janet Malang, and she'll be followed by Virginia Falkrud and Peter Bernstein. Janet, hello.
Hello. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm here just to add my voice to those who care about the art program at the county center. I retired about 3 years ago and had a very technical kind of background. Never thought in my life that I would do something like join an arts program, except, you know, when you're retired, you think about things like that. So there I went. And I'm sorry to say, I'm somewhat impressed with myself. The center is fabulous. And it's not just a learning environment. It's like a family. It's a group of people there who are caring, supportive, and talented. It's so impressive. It would be a real shame that it would not be allowed to continue. It's a shame what Westchester Community College has decided to do. And so whatever help we can get from the county would be so much appreciated. And if there's a way that those of us can help, those of us who are students there, if we can be supportive in any way, if we can join a fact-finding committee, whatever, we're willing to do whatever is necessary to keep that center afloat. And I thank you for your time. Big decisions to make.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you very much. Good to see you again. Our next speaker is Virginia Falkrud, followed by Peter Bernstein and Manish Kapoor.
Good evening. I'm sure this makes for an incredibly long day, so thank you. So much respect that you're willing to come out and hear what we have to say. I am Virginia Falkrud. I'm the executive director of the Hudson Valley Justice Center. The Hudson Valley Justice Center is a non-for-profit law firm that handles a wide variety of urgent civil legal matters that impact the basic human needs of Westchester's low-income residents, including housing, domestic violence, family law, public benefits, consumer credit, and immigration. Our agency is unique in that it is the only agency in Westchester that provides these free, comprehensive civil legal services regardless of immigration status. Since January of this year, our modest staff of 3 attorneys has handled 175 legal matters for Westchester residents and their families, and 73% of those we have served were non-citizens. We work hard to ensure that no one who contacts our agency is turned away. However, in far too many cases, we're forced to provide limited action or advice and referrals rather than full representation due to the lack of resources. We are forced to triage cases based on the greatest likelihood of success and have had to waitlist cases for 1 and 2 months in some immigration matters in an effort to meet this overwhelming need for these vital services in our community. We all know that one of the most pressing needs any Westchester resident faces is access to safe, affordable housing and access to good quality legal services when facing eviction. And it's a sad reality that immigrant families are targeted by abusive landlords based on their status and are often subject to illegal evictions. We see clients who live in substandard conditions rather than demand repairs for fear of retaliatory evictions. And when facing eviction, many of our clients are ineligible for the safety nets that are available to citizens. When low-income immigrants in Westchester don't know where to turn for quality legal information and free representation, they're left to sift through misinformation and navigate the legal system on their own. And immigrants are too often unaware of the protections the law affords to all tenants, or they lack the ability to assert those rights. And given the current political climate and the very real threat of ICE in the courts, even when immigrant tenants know their rights, they often fear asserting those in court as it may expose them to immigration authorities. Immigrants who do appear in court on their own must contend with language barriers, a lack of familiarity with the legal system, and experienced attorneys argue on behalf of landlords who pressure them into unrealistic or unfair settlements. With the passage of the Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Act in June of 2019, tenants now have more protections than ever, and now is the time to step up and show that Westchester will support its most vulnerable residents and ensure their equal protection under the law. We urge the members of the Westchester County Legislature to fund more civil legal services for immigrants. Help us ensure that every resident of Westchester receives the equal protection under the law that they deserve. Send a strong message that the legislature supports the rights of all constituents, regardless of immigration status, by funding the work of the Hudson Valley Justice Center. And I would just like to say, as a proud member of the Westchester Women's Agenda, as well as nonprofit Westchester, we also support their ask for a 10% increase. And thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much, Virginia. Thank you. The next speaker is Peter Bernstein. He will be followed by Manish Kapoor and Nancy Wareham-Gordon.
What she said. Hi, I'm Peter Bernstein. Hi, George, Ken, everybody. Thank you for all you guys have been doing for the county. And Catherine, thank you and your fellow legislators for the good work you're doing. And also, thank the folks in this room who, work so hard at making Westchester, building stronger communities, both for all of us with the arts and the folks who need our help the most. And I, for one, appreciate appreciate you all. So I live in Irvington. I'm on the board of Community Voices Heard. I'm a member of the Irvington Activists. I took a quick look at the capital budget and noticed, of course, the allocation for the deferred maintenance that you guys were left with, and I know, how much, that takes up and what we need to do, take care of the stuff that needs to be fixed. I also noted the increased funding for affordable housing, which, as you know, I applaud. I'm here today really to talk about criminal justice reform, CVH, Irvington Activists, WCA, Make the Road, others have been, worked hard on lobbying for the bail and discovery legislation that was passed in the last session under the new leaders' leadership in the majority. And, it's meant to change the emphasis from over-incarceration, especially on pretrial incarceration, where so many people were sitting in prison, not yet having their day in court. And the recognition of the harm it does, and so we expect the number of people incarcerated should decline. Like that's the whole legislative intent. If it doesn't, it's because the legislative intent isn't being executed by the police, the DAs, and the judges, right, who have a lot to say about what happens. But so if that expected decarceration occurs, it should produce savings in costs, both in prison and prosecutorial costs. And we want the county and the board of legislators and your office to pay close attention to to the delivery of those cost savings, and that they should be redirected to affordable housing, job training, after-school programs, education, healthcare, mental health care, all the things that would make our communities stronger. So I guess the ask is that the additional funding requested by the DA, by the prisons, by pretrial services, be really scrutinized to make sure that it's needed and required to implement the change in what we're looking at for the criminal justice system. The drug war, other punitive approaches, especially for nonviolent offensive, have largely failed, and we can invest in the community while keeping us all safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Our next speaker is Manish Kapoor, followed by Nancy Wareham-Gordon and Jamie Jensen.
Hi, my name is Manish Kapoor. I'm here representing India Center of Westchester, and I'm here to, I feel so, for all the issues that you guys have, I'm here to support the arts. And one of the bigger organization that supports us is Arts Westchester, and through them we get funding. And I just want to share an example of what happens when somebody does give us funding and how the macroeconomics works on that. We got approval from Arts Westchester to do an event in January. So had we had not, and this is a partial, they're not supporting the whole thing, they're just giving us some money for it. And we're doing this event in January, and we're renting a hall from Dobbs Ferry School, the auditorium. And then somebody has to come and do the lighting. It's going to be a local somebody. The music has to be appropriated accordingly and all that. So all the money that is funded, there is an economic advantage to it. And it actually comes back to the community. And I hope that the budget, places, I know there are so many needs, and I feel, but please try to keep the budget appropriately adjusted for the inflation and everything, and give us as much as you can, specifically to all the arts, but specifically to Arts Westchester as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming. If you're interested in speaking, now's a good time to go to the back of the room, get a card, and we'll put you on the list. Our next three speakers are Nancy Wareham-Gordon, Jamie Jensen, and Thea Collins. Nancy.
Welcome to Peekskill, the friendly town. My name is Nancy Wareham-Gordon. It is World Ballet Day, and I'm really here to represent my daughter, Chloe Wareham-Gordon. She can't be here because she's preparing for an evening of dance. She just joined her first professional company, Ballet de Mericle, located in Portchester. And her first company performance is tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. at the Emerald Theater. Ballet Day Mericle is supported in part by Arts Westchester, especially for this performance. I'm also on the board of Antonio Arts, located in Peekskill for the last 20 years at 925 South Street, also supported by Arts Westchester. We've come full circle. Chloe was born 24 years ago in Scarsdale, and we're able to live, and she can start her professional career here in Peekskill because she was certified as a dance artist by the city of Peekskill, and we moved into the lofts in February. So my concern is she is into sustainability, and she tried to map out a route through mass transit to get from Peekskill to Portchester. Multiple buses, 2 hours and 45 minutes each way. Scarsdale, where she was born, 40 minutes, one bus. So my concern is, and I hope we can address this through the DRI grant, as far as mass transit, we're fortunate, we have a car. It's a 40-minute car trip to go to Portchester from Peekskill. But what about all the other working people in this section of northern Westchester? Could we have some parity? I'm not trying to compare the quality of life between Scarsdale and Peekskill, but I hope that you could consider that in your operations for your budget as far as transportation within Peekskill and around Peekskill to the other counties. And thank you once again for supporting Arts Westchester.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Our next speaker is Jamie Jensen, and she will be followed by Thea Collins and Constance Kehoe.
I, like so many of you before, feel really honored to be amongst all of you that are doing so well. I am Jamie Jensen. I am on the foundation board of the Open Door Family Medical Centers. And I also want to say that we are a proud founding member of Westchester Women's Agenda, and so support their ask as part of it being a founding member. But I'm here to give you a little bit of history, and I know most of you know this, but I just want to state it pretty clearly. So for 47 years, Open Door has been providing high-quality, award-winning, accessible health care to the people of Westchester County. Open Door established medical centers in communities that were once the home of Westchester County Department health clinics, including Ossining, Mount Kisco, and Rybrook. With Open Door providing more comprehensive and accessible services, the county was able to close their clinics in these villages, saving the county and our taxpayers large sums of money. And as a result, for more than 30 years, you all at the county have provided Open Door with direct financial support. But then, when the Obama administration came along and health care coverage was expanded, we were lucky. County support became less necessary. And now, today, we're in a moment in time in which our president's public charge ruling has actually directly affected what's going on at Open Door. And I want to just share that really quickly. Over 50% of our patients year to date are uninsured and therefore non-reimbursable by traditional ways. So, given the local stories that many of us know and we've heard today, about ICE, about raids, families are fearful. And so even if they have access to community health, they don't fill out the paperwork. They don't want to be known. So we have an ever-increasing patient population struggling with poverty, lack of insurance, low educational attainment. Our Open Door patients are living below the federal poverty line. Over 50% of our Open Door patients are uninsured, more than double the New York State average for federally qualified health centers, and significantly higher than the national average, which is 23%. Patients without health coverage typically go into an Open Door and they pay $20 to $25 on a sliding fee schedule. That means, as a result, we have lost $1.5 million in revenue at Open Door in this given year because of this. So Open Door has been a good neighbor and a strong partner to the county and the government and our for-profit colleagues and their clients. But in order for us to continue to be a state-of-the-art primary and behavioral health care, prenatal, women's health care, pediatric, all of the things you can think about when you go into a really well-run community health center. We're looking to you in this moment in time to give us a little support. So thank you, really, for all of our years.
Thank you, Jamie. Our next speaker is Thea Collins, and she will be followed by Constance Kehoe and Alexander Ingram.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for this forum. I'm here. I am a probation officer for Westchester County. I'm a supervisor of the mental health unit, but I just want to put on the record that I'm not here representing the department, okay? This is my own offering here. In the time that I have worked in this capacity, I've seen the decline in the mental health services in Westchester. In particular, the previous administration got rid of all the mental health clinics, the ones from Yonkers, Mount Vernon, Peekskill, and wherever else they were. But I just want to say that there's a void there that's never been filled. The private agencies have not been able to fill the void, and there's long waiting lists, and people are suffering very much with mental illness. And I don't know how, if at all, it's possible to reestablish these clinics, but they are really, really necessary, and that's what I want to say.
Thank you for your very important testimony. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next up is Constance Kehoe, who I might add, since she is an elected official in her own right, is Deputy Mayor of Irvington, although you're here in a different capacity. And she will be followed by Alexander Ingram and David Winstead.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. What an education to hear about all the programs. They're all so needy. I'm probably the only person here to talk about history, but I am here because there's an organization that I have been championing called Revolutionary Westchester 250. And this has to do with, I suppose some people remember the bicentennial. Well, there is another centennial, but this one is going to be the semi-quincentennial.
You're telling us that those of us that remember the bicentennial are now 50 years older.
Yes, exactly.
Just say what the truth is, Connie. Go ahead.
I remember. I had a baby. So, I find, I'm not coming to ask for more funding. I've never asked for funding before. But over the last year and a half, I have found by volunteers and my efforts and many others that there's a great deal of interest in many communities to learn about their local history. And the revolution, that time period, is such an important time that can help us think about, in critical thinking ways, about our current situation and, you know, what citizenship is. So I have lots of flyers here, but for those of you, this tells about our mission. And one thing I'll just read out of it, which is, and this is different from the bicentennial, those of you who remember that. We strive to build awareness and excitement for the events, places, ideas, and people, both the unsung and the famous. And I think that's an important part of the Revolutionary War period, of course, in Westchester County. Another thing that I think is different than in the bicentennial years, we strive to build, this is the last one under what is the mission, we strive to build thoughtful reflection during this commemoration about enduring contemporary themes such as freedom, these are big ones, tyranny, democracy, patriotism, American identity, leadership, citizenship, equality, inequality, opportunity, oppression, class, race and gender, media, public opinion, history, folklore, myth, and public memory. So there's a lot to be learned for kids and adults, and I have outlined in my documents a little bit of the kind of funding that would be very helpful to spread the word. So I thank you all.
Thank you, Connie.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Right now, we're sitting with 5 cards. So if anyone else who has not spoken yet wishes to fill out a card and have a chance to speak, feel free to do it now. We will be here, at least some remnant of us, probably me, until 9 o'clock, just in case anybody comes in after the bulk have spoken. But we will continue to hear testimony, and if anybody else wishes to be heard, get your name on a card and we'll include you on the list. The next speaker is Alexander Ingram, and he will be followed by David Winstead and Leslie Anders. Sorry, Anders. Thank you. Alexander.
Good evening. I just also want to thank everyone for giving us this opportunity, and I am also here to support the Campaign for Kids funding on behalf of WCA, but I'm bringing more of a personal lens to this. So I actually grew up right here in Peekskill, and if you walk into that police station, every cop still there that was there when I was a youth in this city will tell you that I got myself into more than a little bit of a lot of trouble. And I am somehow now on a partial scholarship, finishing up my MSW at NYU and interning with WCA.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. But that is in part due to this Invest in Kids funding that went into effect back in 1993. So I benefited from some of the programs that funded, and I can tell you I would not be standing here in the capacity that I am today without that funding. And additionally, as my coworker said, you know, the criminal justice footprint, you know, that goes hand in hand, because as I said, if you walk into that police station, they will be able to tell you they know me front, back, and sideways, now in a different capacity, but, you know, I am one of that lucky few 1% that was able to come up with the very little assistance that I had at that time, and so we need more funding to grow these programs and to give children more opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexander, I was a 39-year-old county legislator in my first term when we voted for that funding, so 26 years later, it's an honor to see you here.
You know, one more thing, I would like to thank you also, because I used to work at Hope House, so I know the commitment you have to them, and I greatly appreciate that as well.
Thank you, sir. Okay, our next speaker is David Winstead, and he will be followed by Leslie Anders and Diane Rossi.
First and foremost, I want to say thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you for being a part of his life, because he's a part of mine. I'm speaking for the youth of Peekskill, New York, and the youth of Westchester County. Once I was a child who was in the foster system, you know, so I was a ward of the state. Made some good decisions and made some bad ones. But I'm here today to just let you know the funding of money should be spent well. In other words, housing. It's funny how we spend $1,500 to house one individual in the shelter, but we won't give them $1,500 for an apartment. You know, it's strange how we waste our money when we should put it in the youth. For example, the gym over here is outdated. The kids are bored. The library is really outdated. As far as computers, technology, the kids spend more time on their cell phone than recreation. Kids are being obesely, which is the whole matter. Girls are not double jumping no more, and boys are not playing basketball sports. And then to school, I grew up in the band. Kids proudly played in the band with new uniforms, and parents come out there and see them. Learning education is the key of knowledge for each and every one of us. You know, it's not a color thing. It's a human being. One thing we all have in common, we just plain human beings. And we start putting away color and issues and standards and hats and titles and just love each other with respect. Our children not only be raised by our parents, but by the community. This community in Peekskill is a loving community. It's been helpful to me. It changed my life, motivated my thinking, and my behavior. And we need to help one another. All the organizations come in and ask for funding, and I agree with them. But the real funding starts with us. We make the funding. We make the money. Money don't make us. We put in the work. Look at the farmer who got the seed in his hand. He planted the ground. He nurtured that seed. He cleans around. He prays and let the sun come, the rain shine, and it grows. So we can feed a multitude of us. We should be farmers, custodians, our children, not for our greed and selfishness, but for our children, so their children will learn and respect the earth, the water, clean water in Westchester County, clean air in Westchester County, clean education, clean hospital bills. We are the leaders. I look up to you. Lead me the right way so I can lead my children. See, I got to be a follower to be a leader. In order for me to be a good leader, I got to be a good follower. I just want to thank you for allowing me to speak the truth. And maybe we could work together to clean our house as Americans, because I am a patriot. Thank you for the mission.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Leslie Anders, and she will be followed by Diane Rossi and Janet Harcum.
Hi there.
Hi.
Leslie Anders. I live in Edgemont. For over 20 years, I've been taking classes at the Westchester County Center for the Arts. It's been a very enriching part of my life, something I look forward to every week after work. It feels like it's in peril, and me and my colleagues there, other art students of a gamut of ages, we want to save this place, and we need your support to survive. It's a fantastic facility, and you've probably heard it houses all kinds of studios with equipment to support so many types of arts: painting, sculpture, clay arts, printmaking, jewelry. It's centrally located in Westchester. It's a good place to have an art center for people in the surrounding towns. I think you need to think about this as keeping people in the county. I mean, we have, when our children graduate high school, many of us seek other places to live, maybe to pay less taxes, to be closer to the city. I think a county art center is a reason to stay in the county. In those studios over the years, I've seen such good relationships form, from some of the most reticent, quiet people. By the end of the semester, they're, sharing their thoughts and their art experience, and it's been a wonderful thing to partake in and witness. So friendships are formed there, especially for people who are no longer working. I pay taxes, I pay big taxes, and I pay tuition for the classes. We need your help to keep this place going, and however we can help you, however we can participate to help this happen, to help this, to make sure that this doesn't go by the wayside. It'll just be a big white elephant. It's not gathering any income at all. I don't know how it's going to support itself if you don't help us support it. It desperately needs marketing. Oh, okay. It desperately needs marketing and advertising to get more interest now that WCC, the Westchester Community College, has relinquished its hold on it. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is Diane Rossi, and she will be followed by Janet Harcum and Monique Holman.
I'm a new student to the Westchester County Arts, and to start a project that's going to take me about 5 years to complete, and then to struggle for where I'm going to get funding, and then have to now figure out by the end of spring, where am I going to go to finish this project? There's not very many places that is going to give me the kind of training that I need. For instance, it's a sculpture project. The sculptor teacher is Ron Maneo. He's unique in the way he teaches his students. and they all benefit from it. They turn out exceptional pieces of artwork. I left directly from school to come here. I had to go home first. I came from Yonkers. I am so intent on this continuing that I made this long drive up here. I didn't have anything prepared, but they gave me, before I left the school, something to read. I'm going to read that. The CFA serves residents of all ages throughout the Westchester County. Thanks to its central location, the CFA should stay open regardless of who takes over the administration of the space after WCC leaves. The issue of the rent should be addressed in this current budget so programming at the CFA can continue uninterrupted. And that, you know, what that would comprise of or include is that the two people who are now, or the two organizations that are now involved in keeping this open, have to negotiate a reasonable rent for the art center and to keep it going. So personally, this is affecting me. I just wanted to put my word in, even though I'm not prepared. I just feel it's that important, and none of my other art students could come. Okay. But not from my class.
You've had a good outpouring of support, and your comments are well taken. I really don't want to comment on each individual issue, but I do want to say that the community college was originally going to pull out of that center at the end of the prior academic year, and it was the lobbying by the county to persuade the community college to maintain their presence through this current academic year, which is why it's expiring in May. We were not prepared a year ago, early in our new administration, to even deal with the issue. Now that we've had a little bit of time, we're discussing this issue as part of the budget, which is why you're here to give us your input and your testimony. But you should understand that it's not merely about the rent. The rent to the county we've reduced dramatically. It's about the total operating cost of it. So someone has to come in, whether it's the county or some other entity. Westchester Community College performed that function heretofore. But someone's got to come in and run the whole program, which is a lot more than just the rent. It's all of it's the salaries and everything else that's involved in it. So we appreciate the input. We understand how strongly you feel about it, and that's good that you shared that with us. And so your trip up was not fruitless. So thank you. Next speaker is Janet Harcum, and she'll be followed by Monique Holman. At that point, we have no more cards. So anyone who has not spoken is welcome to fill out a card, and then will be heard after Monique. If there are no other speakers after Monique, I'm going to give I don't know if Legislator Borgia is still with us, or has she left? She had to leave us. Okay, very good. We will go to a little break, and then we'll see if anybody else wants to speak. Janet Harcum.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. So I was speaking with Nancy Barr today, and she suggested I come before you tonight, and that she suggested I also go before the legislators on behalf of Hilltop Hanover Farm and Education Environmental Center. I always say education because it's up there. But so I'm here advocating for an additional position. You know that I am the co-president of the Friends of Hilltop Hanover Farm. We have new co-president. We've been dissecting and whittling out and figuring out and starting to get a clear picture of a very good baseline operation there, and that would include an additional employee. There used to be 4. There's now 2. It's been 2 for a really long time. The third employee that I'm hoping might be put into the operating fund, first of all, very appreciative of all of our partnering on to make Hilltop Hanover Farm a really vibrant place, but this is part of it. It would be an education and volunteer coordinator type position, because the revenue pretty much comes in for the group from their really, really interesting and good education programs. However, that calendar is pretty empty in terms of what it could be. That revenue that would be created from the kids coming up, first of all, we could be much more targeted towards down county. We could get more you know, kids of all types and from all around the county to be up there to learn about watershed protection, actual farming, all the things you need to know and also carbon sequestration and relating things to sustainability now, which they actually have to have a systems approach to life, you know, and that could be a really good center there for that teaching. So if we had that position, we would be able to bring in more revenue and then do things for the county that would be a good thing, such as Native Plant Center to help a Plant Westchester campaign for climate crisis. So it's really a hand-in-glove situation. It's kind of a critical strategic position, hoping it'll be considered. I understand the competition out there for real important needs, but it is actually a critical position for us. And the Friends were, you know, pedaling as fast as we can. So, and we will continue to pedal. Just have to get stronger.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The last card we have is from Monique Holman. Monique.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Everybody on the panel, thank you. I have a minor discrepancy that I'm sure it can be really, really solved, and it probably doesn't have to do anything with the financials. It may, but Peekskill Senior Citizens runs the lunch program. Fran Brunel ran it exceptionally. He's gone. And there are changes that are coming that are annoying to me and upsetting to me because I'm watching seniors being turned away because they're not calling their reservation in 24 hours ahead of time. I personally called Monday morning at 2:30 a.m. because Sunday morning, going into Monday morning at 2:30 in the morning, and I was turned away for lunch for Monday, and I don't understand how could that be. As a senior and a disabled senior, I have trouble with my right side when it rains. So if I have an appointment or I'm unable to make the appointment and decide that, okay, I'm not going to my appointment, I need to go to lunch, and I'm turned away, I just think that's unacceptable. But as a senior, I'm bringing my case before the county so that this can be solved. I know it's got to be an easy solution. It can't be as difficult as it's been happening, and it's been changes, and I've watched other people become turned away. I just don't think that that's appropriate, but maybe there's a solution, and I don't want to take any more time. I just wanted to let the county legislator know that this is what's going on, and it shouldn't be going on, and Peekskill may need to get a call tomorrow or whatever. I'm not really
Peekskill will get a call tomorrow.
I thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they're still meeting across the street for a while, so.
All righty. Have
Thank
a
you,
good
Monique.
evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming. So we have no further cards. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak? Please get a card. And we're tracking, you know, we're not asking for name or any other information. I mean, we're asking for name. We're not asking for information about your phone number, any of that stuff. We just want to know who gave us the feedback, if you'd like to do that. Is there anybody else who's here right now that wishes to be heard? Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute break, rest stop break, whatever, and we'll reconvene at 8:30. I'll stay until 9. Some of my colleagues may leave if they choose to. And if anybody else comes in the next half hour, we'll take their testimony. If not, you're welcome, as I said before, to put your thoughts in writing, communications@westchestergov.com. So thank you all for being here. You're welcome to stay and listen if anybody else joins us. If not, have a wonderful evening and a safe drive home.